The beginning of a new season is a perfect time for a tune-up from my friends at Renner Garage Door. Need a new door? Get a free replacement quote today. RennerDoorSTL.com. Forward and back. Giddy up!
R-E-N-N-E-R.
This is the Gashouse Gang on your home of the St. Louis Cardinals. 1120 AM, 104.1 FM, KMOX.
Keller, a swing, and this is popped up. It's on the infield. And the catch, and the ball's dropped, and it's a fair ball. And out at the plate is Thomas Saggese.
Well, other than beating Paul Skeens in a 3-game series, the Cardinals did not have a particularly good series against Pittsburgh at PNC Park. They come home to play tonight, another Pennsylvania team, but this time they'll be hosting the Philadelphia Phillies, a very good ball club. Welcome into the Gashouse Gang this afternoon, and we are with you every Monday through Friday from 12 until 1 o'clock. We talk Cardinals baseball and more on this show, and we're glad to have you with us. I'm Chris Ranji. With me today, Matt Pauley. He's here for a bit. Also, Mike Claiborne is my co-host for the hour here. Fellas, it's good to see you, and let's start here, Claibs, with what happened in that 3-game series in Pittsburgh. You know, you beat Paul Skeens. You feel really good about that because he's one of the best pitchers in the game, and they can't get much done after that. They make a lot of mistakes, a lot of base running errors. It just was not a particularly good series for the Cardinals.
No, it wasn't, for a lot of different reasons. You touched on a couple of them, and it's your first road trip of the season, and I think you're still trying to figure out some things along the way. And as you mentioned, beating Skeens, you think you have a really good shot the next day, but Keller has always been tough against the Cardinals. And then you get into extra innings. There are a couple of things you probably would like to do over again. So I think it's one of those things where you just learn from your mistakes and look forward to taking on Philadelphia, which is a really good team.
Yeah, and so the Cardinals have played 7 games now away from their ballpark. They are 2-5 in those games. So I know we keep going back, Matt Pauley, to that very first series of the season, sweeping the Twins, feeling pretty good about things and hoping they would keep it going. And then the Angels series happened, Boston happens, and they haven't won a series since.
No, they haven't. And like Clabe said, it's still early. I think you can still believe in this team as being better than what they've shown since that Twin series. But at the same time, we talked a lot all offseason long about how this team has to get off to a good start and how they aren't really built to, climb out of a deficit. They're not there yet. It's not a huge deficit. They're perfectly fine with where they're at. But I do think you look at the way they've played, and there are some losses that you would have preferred did not occur the way they went down. The Red Sox game when Helsley blew it, and yeah, that happens over the course of a season. You wish it wouldn't happen this early on. I think that series finale against Pittsburgh, you do look at, like Clabe said, there's a few things they'd like to do over. Claves is right. There's a bunch of moments late in that game that could have resulted in a Cardinals victory. So I think right now we're kind of juggling yes, it is early on in the season, and nothing that's really happened means all that much, but also acknowledging the fact that you wanted to see this team get off to a pretty solid start.
Yeah, you don't want to develop bad habits early. And I think this is still a learning process for a lot of people. And you know what? Every team's going to have this, especially in the month of April. So I don't really put as much stock into it. I'm not going to run around with my hair on fire at this stage, because I just think a lot of teams are still trying to figure out who they are. My June 14th philosophy, and this is part of it, where you're going to deal with cold weather, hot streaks, mistakes mentally, and it happens. And you're going to see a lot of teams that go through this.
Yeah, and the Cardinals are one of those teams, though, that this is where my concern comes in. If we know what the season was supposed to be, it was sort of labeled as a transition year, and that's fine, but you still hold out the hope that they can be competitive and have those meaningful games get played in September.
But what game other than Sunday night where they're not competitive?
Well, I mean, yeah, there's a difference between competitive and letting games slip away, though. Right? I mean, they've had a handful of those at least, and if they win those games, then the season looks different. I mean, they've certainly hit. I mean, that's great, but the pitching, I would not say, especially the bullpen work, has not been particularly competitive when you go up against other teams and what they're doing.
I think it's early. Let's
well, it
I'm gonna
is.
hide
I
the
just
panic button from you.
I'm not.
Right. I'm hiding the panic button from you because
All
you
right.
have your
Well,
hand firmly pressed on it.
I wouldn't say it's panic, but it's noticeable, especially because I don't think they're a team that can afford a lot of these.
I think you acknowledge the things that are going on and you kind of put them in the back of your mind. Like, I'm a big believer in things don't really mean something until they mean something. So if the Cardinals have bullpen issues and we're still talking about it in July, then we sit here and we say, well, we kind of saw that coming in the first month of the season. But you know what? If the bullpen issues fix themselves, and I think this is going to be a good bullpen group before all is said and done, then we look at what happened in the first few weeks of the season and we say that was just a case of it being the first few weeks of the season. So it's kind of wishy-washy. I get it that I'm sitting here not making like this definitive statement, but we can't make a definitive statement. This might be real. This might be something that is an issue, or it might not. And anybody who tells you that they know for sure, that they don't know what they're talking about.
Yeah,
I would agree.
Yeah, and by the way, there is.
Here's the other thing I would say this. If we're addressing bullpen issues in July, Matt, we have real big problems.
Yes.
Because that's something that you can resolve a lot sooner than then. But I think it's part of the process that you talk about where we have to figure out how we don't develop these issues on a day-to-day basis, which means that, as I said to you many times, this is a pitching staff of maybe 18 to 22 people. And some of those guys are in the minors. Some of those guys may be with another team as we speak. But it's going to take at least that many to get you through what I would deem a successful season.
You know, some of the guys that I'm not to cut you off, Ron, but some of the guys I'm most excited about that are going to be in this bullpen group are guys who are not on the roster. Like I'm a big Chris Roycroft guy, and he's going to go down to Memphis and he's going to get figured out. He's going to be back. But the guy they're bringing up in Roddery Munoz, we saw him just look awesome in spring, and he's got great swing and miss stuff. I'm excited to see what Riley O'Brien can be, what Gordon Graceffo can be, what Tekoa Roby can do, guys who are not on the big league roster. So you got to go through this stuff early on. And when these guys do get that opportunity, when they come up from Memphis, they've got to run with it and show that they deserve to be big leaguers. But if anything else, if I have a criticism of the way the bullpen's been used, maybe they haven't been as liberal yet with moving guys up and down. And I know there's restrictions in the first week and a half of the season, but we've had a little while now. This is the bullpen's been overused a little bit. I am going to be in favor of them using that Memphis shuttle to keep as many fresh arms as possible in that pen.
And here's the other thing, Matt. I think we have to start looking at now we're a couple of weeks into the season. How many guys in your bullpen can go back-to-back days? Leary did it earlier this week, but we have to have more than one guy that can go back-to-back. And now that I would think guys are stretched out a little bit more when you include spring training, I think that's the next step we have to take as far as making sure we don't burn up this bullpen.
Yeah, Paulie brings up a good point, though, about the bullpen pitching a little too much. And the Cardinals starters, I mean, let's face it here. They're going to have to go deeper in games. They've been one of the worst in baseball so far at getting innings out of their starters. It's a lower 5 or 6 team in Major League Baseball. They have to get better there, because what you do is you put stress on the bullpen. You will wear them out before you get to, the end of the season.
I couldn't agree with you more. I mean, 5 and fly does not get it. You have to have guys that can get you at least through the 6th inning and turn it over to your bullpen. And hopefully you don't have to do that every night. Tonight, you have Palante, who was pretty good at that last season, getting into the 6th and 7th inning. But you have to have more than one guy in your rotation that can do that. And this 5 innings and 90 pitches is not going to get it.
And let's not forget, we're 5 days away from them going to a 6-man rotation. So when you go to a 6-man rotation, that takes one guy out of the bullpen. That puts even more pressure on starters to go. Like, the idea behind a 6-man rotation, and John Mozeliak has talked about this, and I think if you've got the right guys, it works. The idea is that with that extra day off, your starters are going to go deeper into games, and maybe you actually use your bullpen less. But if it ends up being a lot of 5, maybe barely into the 6th inning appearances from your starters, and you've got a 6-man rotation, that is going to eat your bullpen up.
We've got Matt Pauly and Mike Claiborne, Chris Ranji. You can watch us on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, at KMOX Sports. That's where the show is streaming live. Steve is watching on YouTube and says last year they brought in Lynn and Gibson to eat innings so it would take stress off the pen. It worked. Pen was great. Starters need to go 6 or 7 innings. So Steve is saying exactly what we're talking about here, is that in order for this team to be successful and take the pressure off the bullpen, you got to do work. And part of the problem now is, and I don't want to put this all on him because it's definitely not, but Miles Mikolas is supposed to be an innings eater, and he really hasn't done that yet. So it's a matter of waiting for him to contribute in that way. So do we feel confident, or is there reason for confidence that he will start to put it together somehow, guys?
Go ahead, Matt.
No, I'm not confident. He's got a +5 ERA over his last 2 seasons, second worst in baseball. Now, just because I'm not confident doesn't mean it's not going to happen. Coming into the season, I thought he was saying all the right things. He was talking about the fact that he needs to throw less strikes. He needs to be out on the corners a little bit more. But if you look at his pitches so far this year, there are a lot of middle fastballs that he is throwing. It looks very similar to what it's been the last 2 years. So I leave open the possibility, and I still have more leash for Miles Mikolas, but that leash is starting to get a little bit shorter. He can't have appearances like he had this last time out, and he's got to actually do what he said he was going to do, and that's work the corners a little bit more, because if he's got these really short outings, that just goes back to everything else we're talking about. So, yeah, I leave open the possibility that he can turn it around and he can be a different guy than he was the last 2 years, but he has to show that. There's no reason to assume that's going to happen.
I would agree with you, Matt. We're at a point with him that he might be the linchpin of this whole situation as far as innings, because in the past, as you mentioned, he will take the ball, and last year he had led the team in innings pitched, but we need quality innings. I mean, we can get anybody to go out there and throw 5 or 6 innings, but if you're getting lit up like he was last season and now this season, that's not going to help you. So he has to miss some bats a little bit more.
Yeah, we talked to Oliver Marmol, who is with us every Tuesday, Bernie Miklas and Tom Ackerman and me here on Gashouse Gang. He comes on at 12 o'clock, and, he spends a half hour with us, and he's pretty open about everything. He'll answer questions. People may not like the answers, but he's not sugarcoating anything, I don't think. And we talked to him about the Mikolas situation. He knows he's got to do better. I don't think they're anywhere near making a decision on him, but I still don't know how much longer they can allow that to continue, especially if they need those innings. They're desperate for him right now.
What do you think is the right length of time?
I don't know.
How many more starts do you give him?
I think it depends on how bad each one is. I mean, if the next couple of starts where he's giving them no chance at all and not giving them any depth whatsoever, you probably have to do something, right?
Yeah, I don't think there's any doubt you have to do something, but I don't know what that is. And to say, let's move him to the bullpen, I don't know if that's the answer. I mean, it's a way to conveniently put him away, but when do you use him? And he's a guy that hasn't worked out of the bullpen since he's been a Cardinal. So I'm not even sure if that's a good answer. So it's one of those deals now where you may have to make a harder decision than where he fits in the rotation, let alone the roster.
Yeah, I hate the bullpen idea for him. There is nothing about Miles Mikolas that would tell you that he's going to be effective out of the bullpen. And you have 26 spots on a roster. You don't use one of those spots just to hide a guy away. If you're to the point where you don't want Miles Mikolas in the rotation, you have 2 choices as far as I'm concerned. Either you find an injury, you figure out what it is, you get him on a rehab assignment, and you see if you can figure out something in a less high-pressure situation, or you just wash your hands of him and you move on. If you start doing silly stuff like putting him in the bullpen, I really don't know what the point of that is.
Mike Claiborne, Matt Pauley, Chris Ranji on the Gashouse Gang. We're going to talk to John Rooney at 12:30. He will join the show. We're with you until 1 o'clock ahead of Dave Glover. It is the Gashouse Gang on 104.1 FM KMOX.
Get this, 42% of baby boomers don't even know how much money they have in their nest egg. If you're not sure where you stand in terms of getting ready for retirement, you should be listening to the All Financial Hour with Steve All.
Let's sit down and talk about your questions, because I think that's the most important thing that it is out there. It's what questions do you have?
Saturday mornings at 10 or Sunday evenings at 6, right here on KMOX.
When you get hurt, you don't want to end up on the injured list. You want to get back in the game stronger than ever. At Morgan & Morgan, America's largest injury law firm, we fight for you, making sure big insurance doesn't throw you a curveball. With over $25 billion recovered, we're the home run hitters you need.
This is way out there and gone.
Morgan & Morgan, for the people. Proud sponsor of the St. Louis Cardinals.
Injured? Visit forthepeople.com for an office near you.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Subscription required. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hey guys, millions of men experience ED, but not everyone can access or afford treatments like Viagra. At HIMSS, our own board-certified urologist, Dr. Peter Stahl, knows this better than anyone, and he knows that HIMSS can help.
Hi, I'm Dr. Peter Stahl, Senior Vice President of Men's Sexual Health at HIMSS. I've helped many guys with ED, and it has never been more convenient to treat than it is right now, thanks to HIMSS.
Through HIMSS.com, you can access a full range of treatment options for ED, including daily or as-needed meds through a 100% online process. If prescribed, your medication is shipped to you for free. Find the ED treatment that fits your needs. Options at up to 95% less than the brand names when you get started at hims.com/joy. To start your free online visit and find ED treatment at up to 95% less than brand name prices, go to hims.com/joy. That's hims.com/joy for your free online visit.
Ernie Mickles here from my friends at Saliga Heating and Cooling, a St. Louis institution that has been serving St. Louis families since 1927. And this independent American standard heating and air conditioning dealer has been taking care of the Mickles family for at least the last 15, 16 years. And I'm here to testify about their integrity, their prompt service, their professionalism, their knowledge, and the fact that when they come into your home, you're happy to see them because they're going to treat you and your home with class, and they're going to get the work done, and they're going to solve the problems, and they're not going to try to hustle or upsell you or talk you into something you're not sure about. We have found they'll actually give you cheaper solutions rather than trying to pitch a more expensive solution. That's why we love Saliga Heating and Cooling, and that's why we love this American Standard heating and air conditioning dealer. If you want to get in touch with them, anything to do with your home or business heating and cooling, it's 314-481-7333, 314-481-7333, or visit them online at saligaheatingandcooling.com.
Don't miss Mosby Building Arts Home Improvement Show, Saturdays from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. on KMOX. One of the last call-in shows where you can get live answers to your remodeling, design, and construction questions. Tune in Saturdays at 11 a.m.
Help keep our community safe and healthy during National Prescription Drug Take-Back Day, April 26th. Find a collection site near you at DEATakeback.com. Do your part to lower overdose deaths and prevent drug misuse before it starts.
The Chris and Amy Show, weekdays starting at 9 on 104.1 FM, KMOX.
Cardinals and Phillies will play tonight, starting a series at Busch Stadium. It is a 7:15 first pitch. We got the broadcast tonight, and you can listen to Matt Pauley give you the pregame show. He is with us now. Mike Claiborne is here. I'm Chris Ranji. Feel free, if you are watching on YouTube, Facebook, or Twitter at KMOX Sports, you can leave us a message, and maybe we will get to your message. We'll address whatever you have to say. Or you have two other options. You can text us at 314-436-7900. You can call that number too. Or if you want to just drop us a voice message on the Odyssey app, you can do that when you're listening to KMOX. There's a very easy button. You click it, and you record your message and send it. So many ways you can contribute to the show. Guys, one of the storylines, and we talked about this, right after that first series, and seeing Wilson Contreras, who has been their best offensive producer now for a couple of years, he has been struggling at the beginning part of the season. And we all said, I'm not worried about him. He'll be okay. And he did say after this last game that there's no excuse for what's going on now. Patience with him, no question about that. But what do we think is going wrong with him, and how long might it take for him to pull out of it?
I have no idea. This is one of your best hitters in spring training, and all of a sudden they start throwing him sliders and things away, and he's chasing. Every hitter goes through it. You thought he was going to be in a groove when the season started. Obviously, that hasn't taken place, and you don't have a plan B. He's your guy, and you have to ride him until he figures it out.
He's your best hitter, and I don't care what he looks like right now. He is your best hitter. A lot of people have asked about moving him out of the 2 spot. They're really lucky they've been a good offensive team to start the season because you've been able to do everything they've done offensively with him sitting in that 2 spot. I don't even entertain that conversation yet. Now, if they really start to struggle offensively, then maybe it's a different conversation. But right now, I leave him in the 2 spot, and I have faith and confidence in him that he's going to figure it out. I keep going back to like that first game of the season where he took some really good at bats and had nothing to show for it. And I just wonder, baseball is such a funny game. If he would have had a couple hits in that first game, does it look different? Because then all of a sudden the second game and the third game, it just starts kind of going in the wrong direction. Claves mentioned the fact that he's seen more breaking pitches as opposed to what he saw in spring training. It goes on to just, reteach people that spring training numbers really mean absolutely nothing. No pitcher has an approach against a hitter. So there's an approach right now against Contreras from pitchers, and it's Contreras' job to figure it out. And I have 100% of everything that could possibly go wrong with this Cardinals team. The thing I am least worried about right now is Wilson Contreras not hitting.
There is, and I've seen this from some Cardinals fans who say, well, he hits better when he's a catcher as opposed to being a designated hitter or playing at first base. And I don't really think there's much there. I know that people try to draw those correlations. He's definitely had way more time as a catcher. Do you think anything of that there's some sort of one thing affects the other?
No.
No.
Again, I go back to what we talked about in spring training. It didn't. I never heard anyone say, "Well, he should be catching. He's really hitting well." I mean, let's just cut to it. Okay, everybody's trying to figure it out, and I don't know if there's a wrong answer, but I don't hear a lot of right answers right now. I mean, this is part of what the game is about. You play 162, you're going to have your highs and your lows, and to try and single one thing out and saying maybe you ought to go back behind the plate, I don't think that's the answer.
And he seems to be happy not being behind the plate right now. At least as far as that
his
goes.
His game is, he's done everything you would hope a first baseman could do at this point when he's in the field. I'm of the belief, like Matt, his bat will come back. I think we're worrying and overreacting, and we are not even out of the month of April yet. Guys will go through this, and I'd rather for them to get it out of the way now than compared to when the games really are meaningful and you're really in a chase to have a guy go cold.
And not to repeat myself, but also it is such a blessing that he's doing this during a period where the Cardinals are hitting and scoring runs. The last thing you would want is them to be a bad offensive club right now and Contreras be the poster child for that. Instead, they're a good offensive club, and it just so happens that their best hitter isn't hitting.
Yeah, guys, tonight, and I have not really had, and I don't think any of us should, have an issue with Cardinals offense. If anything, this has been a team that is scoring runs. They are hitting. They are. And there have been a couple of occasions where they haven't, but any good offense is going to do that. As you see them in the first couple of weeks of the season here, what they're doing offensively, are there things that you are seeing that encourage you for the season as far as that you feel like you could be able to project that out? Like, yes, this will continue. They will continue to score runs, and we shouldn't have to worry about that.
Well, I like the two-strike approach that I'm seeing from a lot of different hitters, or those who let it get to 2 strikes. I see guys that are trying to use all parts of the field compared to trying to pull everything. And, they're letting pitchers they're not letting pitchers get them out. They're doing the right things as far as their approach is concerned. And, maybe that's contagious. I hope it is. But I like the at-bats that they're taking. And especially in critical situations and with 2 out. I mean, I think they've been pretty good. The numbers indicate what them doing with runners in scoring position is significantly higher than it was last year. And, I just think you just have to keep that going. And obviously being able to make adjustments when teams try to adjust to you.
The term Oliver Marmol keeps using is relentless, that they are taking relentless at bats. And I think there's a lot of truth to that. It is, and the approach, I love all the things we're hearing. Sometimes you got to be a hit collector and sometimes you got to slug. Like that's another term that phrase that we've heard recently. It really seems like Claves used the word approach. it really seems like every single batter is going to the plate with an approach. The approach matches the situation. So the situation has to do with who you're facing. It has to do with the score. It has to do with who's on base. It has to do with everything. Take full time and temperature of what's going on and then adjust your approach to that situation. And we have not seen that from the Cardinals in a few years. And to see that now, and that's because are they going to continue to be as good of an offensive club as they've been so far? Probably not. That's probably going to fall off a little bit. But to see them have such a well thought out approach at the plate, the numbers might fall off a little bit, but that's something that you control. And if they can have some discipline about it, and there's no reason to think they can't, I think some version of that can exist over 162 games.
See, I'm of the belief that I think it can get better. They've gotten off to a good start, and obviously, teams are trying to develop a book against certain hitters, basically all of them. But I think it can get better because we're seeing guys with good habits right now. And if you continue those and being able to maintain that, but also recognize what teams are trying to do to you and be able to make that pitch to pitch adjustment, I think the ceiling is pretty high for this ball club.
I like the club offensively. I know I got to get out of here in a second. Can I address what Bill just sent in on the comment real quick?
Yeah, go ahead. Bill messaging us on YouTube.
Yeah.
And he says last year you all ate you all ate Goldschmidt and Arenado up for their performance. Why are you giving Contreras a pass?
Go back.
I don't know who that is.
Go back to April 11th of 2024 and find somebody eating up Goldschmidt and Arenado. We didn't do that until the season was deep into the year, and it turned out that those guys, that was who they were. At this point in the season last year, nobody was being overly critical of Goldschmidt or Arenado. Sorry, I just saw that and wanted to respond.
Well, I think that was the appropriate answer.
All right, Matt Pauley, you got the pregame show.
Better than the one I was thinking, that's for sure.
Well, no, let's hear yours. If it's come on, Claves.
They have this thing called the FCC, and they don't like when you say those
words.
Well,
technically, right now, you're kind of connected via internet, so whatever you say is fine.
I'll hold on to it. I'll wait till July.
All right. Matt Pauley, you got the pregame show at 6:20 tonight?
Yes.
Cardinals and Phillies. Andre Palante is the starter against Aaron Nola. So, good show.
Thanks.
All right. Matt Pauley, we'll talk to you soon. Mike Claiborne sticks around with me. We got John Rooney joining the show next. It's the Gashouse Gang on KMOX.
At California Psychics, we know that when you haven't found love, it feels like everyone else has. Every movie has a love interest. Every song is a love song. Where are all the songs about cats? Or the joy of early bedtime? And of course, the PDA. Looking for love sucks. Thankfully, California Psychics can give you the guidance you need to help you find the one. We connect you with the very best. In fact, 98% of the psychics who apply to work with us don't make the grade. That's why we can guarantee if your reading isn't life-changing, it's free. Download the app or connect with us at CaliforniaPsychics.com. Right now, new customers receive 20 minutes for just $20. So you could be feeling all lovey-dovey real soon. Experience the joy of certainty. California Psychics.
Oh, it is cloudy in St. Louis with a temperature of 50 degrees, the high of 56 tonight for the ball game. At first pitch, we expect it to be around 55. The weather is brought to you by the iParkit app. The easiest way to park on game day is to park with iParkit. iParkit has the best game day parking garages in St. Louis. 2 iParkit garages are on Clark Avenue, right next door to the ballpark. Download the iParkit app and drive in and out using only your license plate. Use iParkit for convenience and peace of mind.
This is Mason Wynn of the Cards. Community America asked me to tell you what it feels like on Profit Payout Day, when our members get a portion of the profits. I'm thinking it probably feels like opening day. Exciting, new, Or even better, I bet it feels like playing the star shortstop who turns a game-winning double play. And the fans go wild. They ask for selfies with you and autographs. You get a lifetime supply of free stadium hot dogs. Yep, that's basically what it feels like when you get your profit payout. Community America Credit Union. Invested in you.
Hey St. Louis, this is Ben Barnett, board-certified master arborist and owner at Timberline Professional Tree Care. As a local small business owner for the past 24 years, I always do my best to shop local and support our community. Recently, 2 of the largest tree contractors in the region have sold to out-of-town investment groups. This means that the new owners of these companies are not invested in quality, customer satisfaction, or safety, except for how it affects their bottom line. Timberline Professional Tree Care was founded in 2001 and is focused solely on giving you, the customer, the safest, highest quality product while providing the best customer service before, during, and after the job. I've poured my heart and soul into tree care for the past 24 years, and we aren't going anywhere. When it comes time to take care of your trees, I ask that you shop local and call me, Ben Barnett, at Timberline Professional Tree Care, 636-479-7475, or online at stltreecare.com.
Seems everything costs more these days. Gas, groceries, and when's the last time you checked your wireless bill? When it comes to big wireless, if you're staying, you may be overpaying. Switch to Consumer Cellular to get the same fast nationwide coverage without the big wireless bill. Plans start at just $20 a month, and now for a limited time, new customers can get their second month free. Call 1-888-FREEDOM, visit a store near you, or consumercellular.com and start saving today. Plans include $5 credit for autopay and e-billing. Taxes, fees, and other third-party charges will apply. See website for additional details.
Trust Will knows that we'll all eventually need a will. How about right now? Trust Will makes creating your will easy, like while you're lounging on the couch easy. Trust Will is designed by attorneys but customized by you, and all documents are state-specific and secure. Find your plan at trustandwill.com and use offer code RADIO now for 20% off. That's trustandwill.com, offer code RADIO. Trust Will is an online estate planning service. Visit trustandwill.com for details.
Need a lawyer? Onder wins. Call Onder Law at 314-9-MILLION. That's 314-9 all zeros. Or go to onderwins.com.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely on advertisements.
Now, the John Rooney Conversation on KMOX. Sponsored by Missouri Farm Bureau Insurance. We are Missouri Farm Bureau Insurance. And if you're a Missourian, we're for you.
1 out. Winning run at second base, Canario. A swing and a base hit into right field. Canario got a late break. Here comes the throw in from right, and the tag. He is out at the plate. Out at the plate. Nootbaar throws out the runner, Canario.
It's the Gashouse Gang here on 104.1 FM KMOX. Mike Claiborne, Chris Ranji, and now we are joined by the radio voice you just heard right there, broadcast partner of Claibs. It is John Rooney, who is on the show now. John, how's it going?
It's going fine. Good to be home, I'll tell you that. And even though the temperature is in the 50s, it feels like it's the middle of summer compared to the road trip.
Oh, yeah. How bad was it in Pittsburgh?
Hey, John, for you,
brutal.
was that one of the coldest environments you've ever been in doing a game? For you,
yes,
John, was that one of the
and
coldest had?
It was. And Claibs, I think we had, terrible conditions in Boston. And that was kind of interesting there, too, with all the wet weather and the cold. And I even heard a call with Matt Pauley when we got back from the road trip where guys said, I think the players are getting soft. They can't play. And those conditions were awful. Try to hit a 98-mile-an-hour fastball, and especially off the end of the bat, and see what happens. That's kind of fun. But both teams had to play in it, Boston and in Pittsburgh, and thank goodness we're through that. But I heard your comments, Claibs, about the offense, and I agree wholeheartedly. I like the changes and adjustments that have been made. And the thing about the Cardinal hitters right now, they don't care if the Cardinals are ahead or behind. Their approach is the same, and I think that's a really good habit to be in.
I do think that hitting coaches probably more than any other position take blame. Maybe the manager gets it more, but hitting coaches tend to fall on the sword a lot for a failing offense. Sometimes they'll get the credit for it when they are doing well. What do you think this particular hitting coach, Brant Brown, How important has he been specifically to this offense?
I think he's been extremely important to it, and having a different voice. I think Turner Ward's a good hitting coach. He has been through his career, but there was a different voice needed, obviously, and that has been able to come in, and Brand has been able to relate to the hitters, and you see the results in the early going coming out of spring training, and with the adjustments they are making, with the fact that they've had so many games of 10 or more hits, and they're in most every game. The only game they've really been out of is that 18-run game in Boston, second game of the doubleheader. So, no, I think he's made a tremendous stride forward with the hitters, and now we just need to sync up the pitching with the hitting, and the defense has been really, really good, and all of that's pretty encouraging here through the first part of the season.
John Rooney, the radio voice of the Cardinals, is with us here on KMOX. And, we were talking a lot about the last two series that happened, and after a really great opening series for them, and haven't been able to win a series since. You mentioned that they have been competitive, which they have been in most of the games. There only been a couple where it's sort of been out of reach. But as you just a general overview, as you've watched them play, the games on the road, the games after that opening series, what are you seeing overall from this Cardinals team?
Well, I see what we expected coming out of the offseason into spring training, that these guys would compete, that they would go out there and play hard every day, and that's something they do. They play hard, like Arenado, taking the extra base, going first to third, kind of picking McCutcheon's pocket, seeing that kind of aggressive play, seeing Brendan Donovan just hit the ball all over the ballpark and hit the ball hard. The routes taken by Jordan Walker in right field, those routes have made him a pretty good right fielder, and he has a pretty good arm. He's getting better and better each day. He makes progress with the Cardinals. So I see those things that are very good, that keep the Cardinals in most games. And even the game that 5 runs in the first inning on the Red Sox home opener, the Cardinals came back within a couple of runs in that one and made it close. But the bullpen couldn't hold it that day, and Ryan Fernandez was working through some issues, and hopefully he has that slider back because he looked good his last outing. And I know people got upset that Fetty had to leave the game with a no-hitter, but Fetty doesn't pitch complete games. I think we've had one complete game start so far in the young season, and that was Eovaldi. And 37% of the starts so far this year, pitcher has gone 6 or more. So that's not today's game. I tried to explain that to a fan today, that that they're all out. It's maximum effort for most pitchers now, and when they're done, here comes the bullpen. And somebody said, well, Bob Gibson was maximum effort all the time. No, Bob wasn't maximum effort. He had a great effort with a live fastball, great slider, and he could change speeds. But if he needed something, Claves, later on in the game, he reached back, and that's when he found it. And it's just a matter of guys learning how to pitch and getting their command, and that's something Roycroft needs to do at AAA, is work on his command. He has great stuff, but it's part of the process of a young pitcher learning how to pitch and how to deal with those situations when he comes in where he was really wide off the plate for his last couple of games.
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head, John. Pitch sequence is what we look at now a lot more than what we used to, and how guys get people out. And that's one of the learning things guys have to go through, whether you're a youngster. Some guys have to reinvent themselves at the big league level, but pitch sequence and when to throw pitches, and you don't have to throw it down the middle of the plate. You make guys chase. It'll be interesting to see how things change if they put the automatic balls and strikes in, where you have the challenge system, because those pitches that we see fall off the table, which aren't going to be strikes, how disciplined will hitters be not to swing at those things? And I go back to a guy like Greg Maddux, who seldom found himself in the middle of the plate, but he would just go 2 inches here, 2 inches there. The next thing you know, he's 5 or 6 inches off the plate, and guys are still swinging at that pitch.
And Glavine may have had a little more giddy up on his fastball, but Glavine was the same way. Smoltz could do a little bit of both, and that's what made that pitching staff in Atlanta so good. But the Cardinals back in Bob Gibson's day with Ray Sadecki and with Kurt Simmons and those pitchers, they were different kinds of pitchers and really complemented one another, but they knew how to pitch and how to get through a lineup, a second, third, and if they had to, the start of a fourth time. And if they were really on their games, guys, they weren't going through a lineup a fourth time. That was pretty much it. And I know a lot of people would like to have the throwback days, but with the money, with the situation that we have where pitchers are at max effort, and with organizations wanting to protect investments, they spend so much money to draft pitchers and spend a lot of money on the high draft picks that they don't want them hurt. And they want them to develop and learn at the minor league level and then come to the big leagues and perform. But what we have pitchers working 5-6 innings and turning it over to the bullpen. And you'll see games where you might have 10, 12 pitchers in a game between both sides. And by the time you get through the end of a season, what do we go through? 600-700 pitchers in baseball. So we're going to need a lot of arms to get through a season because we have guys working at max effort most of the time.
Yeah, Cardinals, you're certainly not going to get 8-inning performances every night. They could probably do a little better in terms of innings for the starters. They could use some improvement there. Would help out the bullpen quite a bit.
It would.
When they do go to this 6-man rotation, we sort of have an idea of how it's going to work, but how much more important would those innings be when they finally do that?
Well, they'll be important, and that's going to take one guy out of the bullpen is what that's going to do, and it's going to be a more important time for Fernandez, and I like what I've seen out of Phil Maton so far, and certainly Jojo Romero. Ryan Helsley had the hiccup game, but, he's the closer. He's the man who was the National League Reliever of the Year last year, and his last outing, he was right back on track. And yes, they were upset that Fetty didn't have a chance to throw his no-hitter, but when you add it up at the end of the day, you know how many earned runs the White Sox staff gave up 2 days ago? 0. The commissioner's run scored in the 2-1 loss. The guy at second base. So, no, those innings are important. They need to give the Cardinals a good 6 and occasionally get into the 7th just so you can keep your bullpen lined up. And the Cardinals have starters capable of doing that. And you hope that Miles Michaels' next start out, he's going to be a little bit sharper, and anything that he threw over the plate, the Red Sox just hit hard. And once a game like that started, it's hard to stop it. You run into those every now and then. You hope you don't see many of those through the course of a season. But anytime your starters can at least give you a 6, maybe an out or 2 in the 7th inning, that is a lot less work for the bullpen and keeps the bullpen lined up, obviously.
You know what, Chris? I think we're going to enter an era where we talk about guys giving you 5 and 6 innings, but the role of a reliever is going to change where you're going to have to start developing relief pitchers. We spend a lot of money on starters, but relief pitchers are going to be counted on even more. And you just can't pull a guy out of the Prairie League or this league or whatever. You're going to have to develop guys when you get into your organization and show them how they can pitch 2 innings back to back or an inning and a third back to back, because that's where the game is headed.
Need a couple of long guys, Claves, and that's why Matz was stretched out, and he'll go in as a starter with the 6-man rotation. But Leahy was stretched out a little bit in his work out of the bullpen, and he has been so terrific. You need guys like that. And to your point, Claves, I see the innings that have been put in by Cardinal pitchers. I saw where McGreevy went 5 and picked up a win, and he's 2-1 now. But I see a lot of pitchers going 3 2/3, maybe 4 1/3 at the AAA level. And it is early, and they're building them up and all that. But you'd like to have a couple of guys out in that bullpen stretched out. Then you can get to your setup guys, Fernandez, Romero, Maton, to get to Helsley at the end. But that's today's game. Look at the playoffs. 1 time, 2 times through the lineup, here comes the bullpen. It's a parade after that.
John Rooney, 6:20 is the pregame show tonight. Very good Phillies team is in town for a 3-game series. Palante and Nola, the pitching matchup. We'll be looking forward to the pregame. And then the 7:15 first pitch, which you will have tonight on KMOX.
That's a good matchup tonight, Palante and Nola. And I'm staying for the whole game. How about you, Claves?
I'm going to stick around even longer than that. I'm going to go across the street over to the Bullock and have a visit with Ricky Horton and John Mozeliak tonight. The president of baseball operations will join us in the postgame show.
And
So
we
I'll
look
be there
forward
for
to
a while.
that. And Chris, have a fine weekend.
Hey, you guys have a fine weekend. Well, I'm sticking around with Claibs for a little bit longer, but you, John, have a great weekend.
I appreciate
I'm
it.
going to work really hard at it.
John Rooney, the voice of the Cardinals, along with Mike Claiborne and Ricky Horton. Again, they got the broadcast tonight, 6:20. That's when it gets started. 7:15 first pitch. You can hear it here on 104.1 FM KMOX and the Odyssey app.
We are Missouri Farm Bureau Insurance, and we're here for all of life's wins. Like when you get a new car, or new boat, or new driver, or when your son moves out, but your mom moves in, or you find out you're expecting again, or when one rental property turns into 2, then 20, or you realize they're all in Tornado Alley. Life is full of life events, so call your Missouri Farm Bureau Insurance agent or visit mofbinsurance.com to find an agent near you, and we'll make sure you have the right coverage for each of life's wins.
We are Missouri Farm Bureau Insurance, and we're for the people of Missouri, in good times and in bad. We're for Missouri families and Missouri communities. We're for giving back to those communities and lifting people up. And when Missouri weather rips through our state, we're for helping put back the pieces. We're for brighter days and new tomorrows. We are Missouri Farm Bureau Insurance. And if you live in Missouri, we're for you.
Now's a great time to call Morelli Tuck Pointing, get an estimate on exterior tuck pointing, and hop on the spring schedule. Now, if you've been thinking of getting any interior brickwork or stonework tuck pointed, this is also a great time for that. Hi, this is Charlie Brennan. For 34 years, Morelli has been tuck pointing completely solid houses and buildings, repairing brick and stone walls, foundations, walkways, porches, and patios. The Morellis will also caulk and waterproof your home or building. Morelli has worked on 2 of my homes, treating them like they were their own, always leaving the job site cleaner than when they found it, and that's why the Morellis have won the Angie's List Super Service Award every year since 2005. Morelli is also a recipient of the Better Business Bureau Torch Award. Research their reviews on the Google, Angie's List, and Better Business Bureau websites. 314-645-1387 and MorelliTuckPointing.com.
The Ultimate Drive, hosted by Albert Pujols and benefiting the Pujols Family Foundation, returns Thursday, May 22nd to Top Golf in Chesterfield. Enjoy dinner and drinks, play golf with a celebrity, and support Albert and the Pujols Family Foundation. Limited days remain. Reserve yours today at PujolsFamilyFoundation.org or go to KMOX.com/events for more info. The Ultimate Drive, hosted by Albert Pujols, sponsored in part by KMOX and Top Golf.
When you're hiring, have you ever felt like you're missing out on meeting truly great candidates for your roles? It seems impossible to find them, but they have to be out there somewhere, right? Well, they're not hard to find when you know where to go, and that place is ZipRecruiter. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter helps 10 million people with their job search every day. And because these people are actively looking for jobs just like yours, it's easy to find the right person right away. In fact, 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. But if you're not using ZipRecruiter, you're missing out. So see what it's like when the impossible is easy. When you go to ZipRecruiter.com/free right now to try ZipRecruiter for free. Once again, that's ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/free. Never miss out on great candidates with ZipRecruiter.
Caring for residents for over a century, Manor Grove is committed to making everyone feel at home. Choosing a home for your loved one to reside is an important decision and shouldn't be taken lightly. Manor Grove makes your decision easy with medical professionals and staff who care for residents like family. If you are looking for a caring and quality nursing home and rehab facility, please visit our website, manorgrove.com, and take our virtual tour. Manor Grove, over a century of caring. Welcome home to Manor Grove.
Hop into spring with Lombardo Homes at our citywide Easter scavenger hunt. Join us Saturday, April 12th from 12 to 4 p.m. at any Lombardo display home in St. Charles and Mid-Missouri. Start your hunt, search for hidden items, and earn entries for a grand prize, $1,000 in Visa gift cards. Plus, snap a selfie with the Easter Bunny at Cottleville Trails from 1 to 4. Pups welcome too. Don't miss golden eggs, bonus prizes, and a whole lot of festive fun. Find your starting point at lombardohomes.com and let the hunt begin. Sponsored by Lombardo Homes. Some restrictions apply.
Now, back to the Gashouse Gang on your home of the St. Louis Cardinals. 1120 AM, 1041 FM, KMOX.
The show brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling. That's SaligaHeatingandCooling.com. Mike Claiborne, Chris Ranji for a few more moments before we get to the Dave Glover show. We have a comment from somebody who is watching on YouTube. Graham checks in and says, trying to form conclusions about this team/players is insane, considering they haven't played a game above 70 degrees yet. And that is from Graham. Well, I don't think it's crazy to try and do that.
I do.
Well, it's what we do.
No,
That's
I
the whole
with him.
thing, you know?
No, I agree with him. I think we're playing in an environment that isn't conducive to what the season looks like. And we make a lot of things bigger for all the wrong reasons, especially early in the season. So I agree with him. I think let's get some consistent weather. Let's get some games, where you get into a routine because, you go the day game, the night game, the getaway day. We haven't had a real consistent pattern yet. We'll see a little bit more of that on this homestand. But I think we haven't really gotten into a routine that everybody is really comfortable with yet.
Yeah, I'll concede that it's very difficult to know about teams like the Cardinals because you are still dealing with a lot of young talent and you don't quite know what a lot of them are, what they're going to be yet. But I mean, if you look around baseball, just looking at the standings, a lot of the teams that are supposed to be good are good right now. A lot of the teams that are supposed to be bad are bad right now. So I don't think it's crazy to try and develop some sort of opinion or try to project what might happen. We could all be wrong about them, but I don't think it's nuts to do it. Though the weather does not help. I don't think the Cardinals are the only team playing in bad weather right now.
No,
but
you're right. But again, I go back to this is a team, as you just mentioned, is a developing team.
Yep.
We're looking at young players for the first time, knowing that they're going to play on a regular basis, and how they adjust along the way is something that I think we have to pay close attention to. And I don't think we can formulate any sort of legitimate opinion in the first 2 weeks of the season. I think you have to let this thing breathe a little bit before we can actually say, all right, this is a pattern that we're seeing with this player. We think this is going to be what it looks like.
Yep.
And I don't think you can make that assessment this early.
It's a tough one tonight, though. Starting tonight, the Phillies are very good. They are in
Real
town
good.
for the first of a 3-game series. Claves will be looking forward to the broadcast with you, John Rooney, Ricky Horton, and then live at Lowe's after the fact. John Mozeliak will be your guest.
Looking forward to that and looking forward to a Cardinal win tonight.
All right. Claves, we'll do it next week, buddy.
Can't wait.
Mike Claiborne, Chris Ranji, anything you missed on the Gashouse Gang, it's on the Odyssey app. Download it and listen, or KMOX.com. We appreciate it. We are back with more of the Gashouse Gang Monday at 12 o'clock on 104.1 FM KMOX.